Today's video, we are ranking the option trading strategies here on the channel from S tier all the way down to F tier. In today's video, we're going to be looking at some of the most common trading strategies you may have seen on forums, on my YouTube channel, or anywhere you may have researched online, and we're going to rank them. So if you're excited for today's video, as always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on those bell notifications for all future uploads. And again, feel free, of course, take a look at the Fridge financial memberships if you're looking to support the channel more in any way, shape, or form, and get a little bit extra content as well as a member of the Fridge Financials channel on YouTube. But without further ado, we're going to be ranking all of these common option trading strategies from Supreme all the way down to F, and they're absolutely awful. And again, full disclosure, you may not agree with what I trade, and that's okay. It's completely up to you and your preference. I am not a financial advisor. None of these are just trades that I've thought about over the years and what I've taken trades in and what I've liked and maybe things I don't like. And I'll give you a little bit of a breakdown for each one, and we will be using the SPY ETF as just an example to trade it, just because it just makes life just a lot easier to model some of these trades that we're looking at here. Maybe not modeling all of them, but modeling some of them as we go. So first one you see here is what's called the cash secured put. Now this one right here, maybe some people might say, oh, this is a Supreme tier trade, especially for Fridge Financials, who does videos about cash secured puts. This is actually, I'm only going to put this one at the A tier. The only real big drawback for a cash secured put is that obviously you need the cash available to do it, right? So for example, if you wanted to trade SPY options and you wanted to sell a cash secured put, you're going to need, a lot of cash up front, like $70,000. If you wanted to say, hey, I want to sell a contract at $700, for example, I'll buy SPY at $700 if I want to, for example. You do, in fact, need the cash available for it. So if I went to go to hit continue, and then I filled this trade in, for example, let's say I was like, oh, I want to do it at $477, doesn't really matter. And I hit review order. It's going to say you need $70,000 in collateral. That is the big drawback. I say big drawback. You can do with small companies, of course, but if you don't have a big portfolio, cash secured puts may not be easily attainable for you for that reason, but I do love the strategy. You get in at cheaper prices for stocks you want to own. You get paid to wait. I think it's a great overall strategy. Wouldn't put it quite at the S tier. I'd put more at A tier. Again, you need the cash available for it. The next one here, we have the Strangle, and we also have the Straddles. These ones are very, very much similar trading strategies here. These ones I put down in the C category here, both of them. They're both very, very similar trades here. You want to trade a Straddle or a Strangle, and I will show you what it looks like on Robinhood here so you get an idea for it. Basically, you're buying a put option and a call option at the same time. Okay, so for example, if I bought the 746 put and I bought the 746 call, it creates what's called a long straddle. Okay, and as you can see, I can profit in either direction, which is not a bad thing. But the big thing that I don't like about it is that, again, option buying, you're looking for the stock to have a big move before decay kicks in for a straddle, for example, and you're paying for two contracts. Right? You're paying twice the amount. You're paying $1,300 here plus another $1,700 here, and you're hoping that it moves in either direction. So if SPY doesn't move that 4% to either side relatively quick, you may be taking a bigger loss than just buying one option contract over the other. So a straddle is when you're buying it at the exact same price. A strangle is when you buy it at different strike prices, as you'll see. 746 versus 747. The big difference, honestly, is that it saves you a little bit of money. This one is only going to cost you $3,000, whereas this one will cost you $3,100. And obviously, you can go a little bit higher up if you wanted to make a strangle. This one would only be $2,800. But again, you're still buying two contracts, and that's why I put them both at the C category here, because you're buying two contracts. And again, it's a not bad strategy when you're looking for volatility. For big stocks to have a lot of volatility, or if you're thinking about, big earnings coming up, maybe getting the straddles might not be a bad play as well. There's different ways you can play it, but I put them more at the C category for that reason. It does cost twice, but again, you're not looking for a direction.
Unlock more fan cash with Fanatic Sportsbook. You'll earn up to 10%.
Stupid advertisement. I don't know if that audio came through or not, and if it did, I apologize for that one. I might have to cut that out. But again, what I'm looking for here is Straddle and Strangle. The idea behind it is that I don't like that you're paying for two contracts. It's going to cost you twice as much, obviously. But I do like that there's not really a one-side direction. You can either make money if it goes up or if it goes down for that reason. Naked puts, which is basically a cash secured put, but with no cash available for it. I put that one all the way down in D tier because that is a very risky strategy. And if you're trading on margin, if you don't have the cash to buy shares, it can be a huge problem. Naked put options, I put as in you're selling a put option, like I was trying to do on SPY. You have to be approved for that as well because it's very advanced level trading. But that could be a very, very big problem. Just like same thing with, say, naked calls. Naked calls I would also put down there because, again, you're selling call options without having anything to back it up as collateral could be a big loss you could take as a result, which is why I don't like either of those. I put them down at the D category here. Debit spreads. So debit spreads I do trade quite a bit with, and that one I actually put at the B category, debit spreads and credit spreads. The reason why is because it's defined risk, and it also allows you to trade options for cheaper prices. And that's what's really good for me personally. So for example, if you're looking at a small account, and again, say you're trading the SPY ETF right here, say I wanted to sell that cash secured put for $700, for example, and then they say, oh, well, you don't have the cash to buy it. Well, what I could do is I could buy a put option as essentially my collateral. And as you'll see, it'll make it be a credit spread. It'll be a credit spread here. We get paid $47 for it. As long as SPY doesn't go to $700, then I make $47 and I call it a day. Now, as you'll see, max loss is only $450. And when you wanted to open this trade, you actually would only need, and I can show you, I'm not going to open it actually, but in case you want to see it, you only need $500 in collateral instead of $70,000. So credit spreads are good. You get paid out premiums up front for it. You have a lot less collateral needed for it, and it makes you be able to trade big ETFs like SPY, QQQ. You can trade NVIDIA, Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Google, all those major companies that have huge prices for option contracts with a lot less cash you need. This one's only $500, for example. You can go as little as $100 if you want to. It's only be $100 in collateral here, as you'll see. So you could definitely look at making these trades, and that's why I like it. It's defined risk. You know how much you're going to lose. I know that my max loss was going to be, I can tell you right now, my max loss, I know. Let me scroll down here so you can see it. I know that my max I can lose is $90. Guaranteed. That's the max I can lose is $90. If I do a naked put, it could lose a lot more than that, right? If I do a cash secured put, I could lose a lot more than that. Potentially the stock goes lower and lower. This one is defined risk and defined reward. I know my profit is, I know my losses, I know where I'm getting into before I even open the trade up. So I like it for that reason. That's why I put these both at B tiers for that reason. Because debit spread's the same thing, but instead of doing selling a put option and then let me scroll back up to the top here and reset this a little bit for you guys. So instead of doing a sold put and then a bought put underneath it, I can instead do a bought put and then a sold put and flip-flop it, and it becomes a debit spread instead of a credit spread. So again, still same thing. Max loss is defined. Max profit is defined. I do know that I know what I'm getting into. The only thing that sucks, obviously, with these trades is that it also caps out your profit, right? Like if I buy a put option just by itself, it can go super far down and I can make a lot more money. But when I do spreads, it caps my profits on both sides. So something to keep in mind about. Poor man's cover call. This one right here, I actually also will put at an A tier. People say, oh my God, Fridge, why? Well, basically, a poor man's cover call, what you're doing is you're buying a leap option and selling a short-dated call option against it. So, for example, again, we'll go back to SPY here to break down this trade here. Say, again, SPY is an ETF that, is more bullish than bearish because of the overall market. So, say between now and December of next year, say I buy the 750 call option. Okay? I'm buying it. I'm bullish in the stock long-term. If SPY goes, to 800 and something plus, I could, make some good money here, whatever the case is. It's going to cost you $8,000. Now, if you want to offset your cost basis initially up front, or you can do this later on if you want to, but you can do it also at the same time if you'd like to, you could then go instead do this. I could then say, you know what, I'm going to go, a little bit shorter, a month out here. So I'm going to do monthlies. I'm going to sell a call option. And now I'm going to sell, say, a 761. So what you'll see here is that this creates a poor man's cover call, essentially, because what's happening in this case is that you are getting paid a premium up front to offset your cost basis. So instead of it costing me $8,500, it's going to cost me, $7,800 instead. I got paid out this premium here. And if SPY does move up, I make $1,000 in the trade, short term. This thing closes out and we're done. And again, the poor man's cover call essentially is a covered call position, which means you need 100 shares of stock, but the bought leap option counts as the collateral for the 100 shares you don't own. Like if I don't own 100 shares of SPY, this bought call option right here is 100 shares of SPY with an expiration date. So this is going to be used kind of as my collateral in case this gets exercised. So it's there. It creates what's called the poor man's cover call. It's a very good strategy. And again, what you could do is say it doesn't go to 760 between now and August 21st. Then I could then go out to September and then October and keep selling cover calls against it, reduce my cost basis, and it makes your life a lot better. So that's what I like to do. That's what's called the poor man's cover call. You do get income on top of it as well, so you get paid out some premiums as you wait for the stock to hopefully do what you want it to do. That's why I put it at the A tier. It can reduce your cost basis. It's passive income. And again, if the stock does move up, you still make some good money on it. So I put it in the A tier along with cash secure puts for that reason. Iron Condor is a tough one for me. Iron Condor, believe it or not, I put at the C tier. And it's not more or less because of the trade itself. It's more or less because of how advanced the strategy is. Because essentially what you're doing is you're basically doing a credit spread on both sides. You're doing a call credit spread and a put credit spread essentially on both sides of your stock. So it's a little bit more advanced for that strategy for that reason. And it's probably not as easy to get filled on a majority of stocks because you're looking at doing 4 legs at the same time. So for example, if you wanted to do an Iron Condor on SPY, for example, this is what it would look like. You would go to, say, sell the 760, and I would buy the 761, for example. These are call sides here. So that's a call credit spread, which is saying like, hey, don't go, higher than 760. And then after that, you then go to the put side and do the exact same thing. So you go to like, say, the 735, and you buy the 734, for example. And as you'll see, it creates what's called a short Iron Condor. Now, what is good about it is that you do, in fact, get paid out some good money. You get paid out, a credit up front for this one, and your max loss is relatively low. But you're essentially making it seem that you want SPY to trade in a neutral position, not go too high, not go too low, and just trade sideways for this time period between now and August 21st. And, as we know with a lot of stocks, we get big movements. But again, you're opening up 4 legs at the same time. And to me, I think that's the bigger drawdown than debit spreads and credit spreads because you're looking at opening up 4 legs. On major stocks, you could do it with. On less liquid stocks, it might be harder to do these trades with. So that's why I bounce between the B and the C tier for an Iron Condor. And I know there's some people who are masters at trading these strategies here, so I get it. But for me personally, I think the fill is a little bit hard to deal with sometimes. And also, again, you're basically looking for it to be neutral. And as we've learned, especially in this administration right now, all it takes, one big news break to come out from Truth Social, the stocks are moving. Either upside, downside, and that can really take away your positions. So I put it in the C tier for now. Maybe in the next presidency, whoever it is, maybe this will move to a B tier. So maybe we'll adjust this maybe after the new president gets elected. Who knows? Buying puts, I would also put, again, C tier. You're just, you're buying puts. It's not an amazing strategy. But again, you're looking at only one direction, and buying options, buying puts, buying calls with these options here is a little bit of a problem because you have decay working against you. You have theta decay, right? And so the stock could move the way you want it to, but if you don't pick the right strike, you don't pick the right expiration date, you could really lose some good money relatively quick. And again, a lot of times with the option contracts you see here, if you buy like a lot of like out of the money options, I know some people like to do. For example, if you wanted to say, hey, I'm bullish on SPY to go to 765, which is, good, the chance of the stock being successful for a trade or being at least break even is 28% or so from Delta. So, you're not really in the casino side. You're basically more of the gambler side. And more times than not, you lose money. So I put it more in the C tier because it could make money. A lot of people do just buy options. They just buy calls, buy puts, and they call it a day, and it works out. But for me, I don't really do it as much. I like to have, a little bit more of a strategy in terms of like, in the casino side of things, getting paid out, all those kind of things you see there. Cover calls, I put at S tier, believe it or not. And people will probably disagree with this, which is totally fine. I get it. But for me, I look at it as in you're selling a call option against a position, basically saying, I'm okay with getting rid of this stock for this price, and you get paid to sell at a profit. Yes, you do cap your upside if it blows past your strike price. But for example, say you bought, say you have 100 shares of SPY at $700 right now. right? Say you do. You could sell a cover call, a month out here at 750, right? Say, hey, SPY goes 750, cool. With this kind of trade, for example, I would be selling my shares for $50 profit on each share, which is, again, I'm locking in my profits on a position, and I'm also getting paid out $1,200 as well. Yes, if it goes past that, you have, an unrealized, you have potential losses there because you could have just held the shares out. And I get that perspective, and a lot of people will say that. But the downside to this trade is that you don't make as much money as you would have been, right? And a lot of people will post this and be like, oh my God, why did I sell a cover call at this stock here for this strike price when it's way past it? Hindsight is 2020. If you could sell a stock for 50% gains and then get paid to do it, then why not? Take your profits and get paid out while you wait. I don't know. And again, if it doesn't hit that price, you keep your shares, you keep the cash you got, and then you do another cover call, and you can just keep going and going and going from there. So that's why I personally put it at S tier, because if you do it correctly, you're making some good money on it. You do cap your upside. I get it. There is a disadvantage to every single trade that you do. Cover call, I feel like that's the smallest disadvantage is, oh my God, you cap your profit upside on that one. But you get to close out your positions for profit and get paid to do so, which is great. For the next one here, leap options, I actually am between A and B tier for this one here. I think just because it relates to the poor man's cover call, but there's no income that comes with it, I put it at the B tier for this reason. Leap options are looking at buying long dated expiration anticipated moves. I forgot what the acronym is exactly. I forget off the top of my head. It's like long expiration anticipated whatever. I don't know the piece. I forget what it is. You guys can tell me what it is in the comments if you want. I really don't care. But essentially you're just buying really far outdated contracts, So for example, like that SPY one, if I wanted to go to say, December of 2028, I want to buy a call option here. This is me buying a call option. This is a leap option right here because it has till December of 2028 to expire. Cost me $12,000, which is wild. And that's kind of probably also the downside to it, is that these ones are obviously more hefty in price because you have more time for the stock to do what you want it to do. They are a decent strategy to buy into leap options of companies, but the poor man's cover call I like a little bit better because you can get in and out of your trades earlier if you want to, and you make some good profits, and you can also pay down your premium that you pay for that leap option. So, and last but not least, zero DTE. F tier. Trading zero DTE options to some people might be great with it, but for 90+% of people who do zero DTEs, they lose money. For example, if you want to see what it looks like, you can go to SPY. This is a zero DTE option right here. 0 days to expiration. You're basically just hoping and betting that the stock does what you want it to do. If it does, great. If it doesn't, you lose all the money, and that's it. And you only have till today to figure it out, and that is about it. So that's why I put it down the F tier. A lot of people would like to try to trade these, and they don't do really well with it. What's really cool, though, is it kind of makes a nice little normal distribution curve. I know it's the nerdy side of me, but, it's pretty interesting. But so that is my tiers. I'm ranking the option trading strategies here. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree or disagree with any of these. I would like to hear your input on things here. Obviously, this is not the end-all, be-all. This is how I look at them. Feel free to leave it down in the comment section if you want to. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made this part of the video, as always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on those bell notifications as per usual, and take a look at the memberships offered over on YouTube. I hope you're making money in the market, whether you're doing any of these strategies here that you see or something else. Who really knows, honestly? And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.